Take a look at your screen right now. You're looking at videos of people getting arrested for DUI, but WSMV Investigates found in each case, the people being arrested are sober.
One look at how William Rose performs on his field sobriety test, and you can see why he's in trouble. And listen to what the officer says he smelled.
We could smell some alcohol coming from the car.
Not long after, Murfreesboro police put him in handcuffs.
I was very cordial with them, but I was scared to death.
Scared and confused because Rose was completely sober.
I kept telling him, I said, sir, you're making a mistake. I have not been drinking. I'm not impaired.
So you may be thinking it's a rare case, except it also happened to Bill Shank in Clarksville. His DUI arrest was plastered all over a local media outlet.
It feels surreal. It's like a joke.
And to Katie Slayton in Franklin. She was arrested in front of her child's daycare. Sober Middle Tennesseans arrested for DUI. And as a result, they say their lives are ruined. Not just because of the public stigma, but because a WSMV4 investigation found they have to wait months for blood tests to come back from the state of Tennessee, showing they were sober. As Rose waited for his blood test results, he lost his job, his insurance, and racked up hefty legal fees.
We lost close to $30,000 between legal fees and impound fees.
Slayton, who was charged with DUI and felony child neglect, had her child removed by DCS for 9 weeks.
They have traumatized my son. They have traumatized me.
Shank says while months passed by, so did jobs.
I lost 2 job opportunities because when you do my name and my city, my mugshot comes right up. It's not a flattering portrayal.
Attorney Bernie McAvoy's client was arrested by Goodlettsville police for DUI and was completely sober.
This particular client had to wait 8 months for that chemical test to prove that he had not consumed anything at all.
But hold on, you may be thinking, didn't all these people fail field sobriety tests? Well, our investigation found completely sober people can perform badly, especially if they have health issues. Remember that Rose clearly couldn't walk a straight line?
I have struggled with balance. I've been bow-legged most of my life, so I've struggled with balance for a long time.
Slayton says she was so traumatized about doing a field sobriety test while police took her child away into the daycare that she performed badly. And Shank says his ADD makes it hard for him to follow directions.
When your whole mind is like, this isn't real, it's like a dream. It's like Charlie Brown's teachers talking to you.
We also found that indicators of a drunk driver can be wrong. Police said they could smell alcohol in Rose's car.
Post-COVID world, I grabbed some Purell and put some hand sanitizer on.
And in Shank's car.
Said the car smells like alcohol.
But Shank is an Uber driver, and at the time he was arrested, his passenger in the back seat had been drinking. So why not just use a breathalyzer to immediately show that they were sober?
I asked for a breathalyzer, they refused one. They said, we don't do them in Murfreesboro.
In fact, many police departments no longer use breathalyzers. A spokesman for Murfreesboro Police say they find blood tests to be more accurate. But our investigation found the state says the average wait to get toxicology tests back, which completely exonerates a person from any impairment, is 3 months. But we found that's not what happened in these cases. Both Rose and Shank had to wait nearly twice that long, almost 6 months. And Slayton waited 8 months.
Is that acceptable?
No, that's not acceptable.
Jennifer Hall is the regional administrator of the TBI Crime Lab.
There are times that our turnaround time was not acceptable.
Hall says there's a backlog of alcohol and toxicology blood tests. The amount of cases simply outnumbers the staff able to quickly process them. They've hired more scientists this year and say turnaround is improving.
Anytime someone's life is impacted by waiting on a result, that's a lot. And I think we want to improve. We want to do better. I feel like we're going in the right direction.
Rose says the direction of his life fell, awaiting proof of his innocence.
I didn't even get an apology letter from Murfreesboro Police Department, saying, hey, yeah, we goofed up, we messed up. And this has destroyed my life.
Okay, all the people we profiled had their charges dismissed. We reached out to each of the police departments who made their arrests. All issued statements defending those arrests as their officers were basing their decision on suspicion of DUIs. You can read their responses right now on the WSNV4 app. Marius?
Jeremy, this is hard to believe, and clearly this could happen to anyone. So what can you do if this happens to you?
Well, first of all, you've got to respect law enforcement. You have to understand that they are doing a serious job that in most cases busts drunk drivers. But you got to be frank with them. Do you have medical issues? Do you have health problems? Anything that may cause you to fail a sobriety test. You need to disclose that. And if you are arrested and given the blood test, you can email the TBI and make frequent requests for updates.
I certainly regret that, and I really deeply, I hurt for what they went through.
That is an apology from the police chief of Goodlettsville to innocent people arrested by his police department.
Performing a field sobriety test is not what Jeff Adams expected last September as he was heading to his job as a teacher in Brentwood.
I figured I could pass it because, I mean, I wasn't drinking. I was on my way to school. It was 5:52 a.m.
Video recorded by an officer shows Adams didn't do well standing on one leg. Still, Adams couldn't believe what happened next. Listen.
Sir, I have not drank a thing. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs.
And Adams wasn't lying. 4 months later, his blood test results show no alcohol, no drugs. But the arresting officer, Noah Warner, wrote he showed several signs of impairment.
I don't think you're safe to operate a motor vehicle.
Can I call my school to let them know that I need a substitute?
The case against Adams was ultimately dismissed. The damage, though, was already done.
It was the most traumatic experience to know that I'm being arrested. I'm about to be fingerprinted, mugshotted. All the man's got is his reputation and his name. And it's getting smeared, and I didn't appreciate it.
Chokes you up a little bit.
It does.
And a WSNV4 investigation found this isn't the only DUI arrest made by Officer Werner that was dismissed. Turns out Adams is the third sober driver to be arrested by Werner for a DUI last year.
There's a problem. There's a pattern, is what this is.
I certainly regret that, and I really deeply, I hurt for what they went through.
Chief Gary Goodwin is Warner's boss at Goodlettsville Police. If you had just one case, that would be one thing. But in this officer's case, you have 3 people who were sober and arrested for DUI. So what does that tell you?
It doesn't necessarily tell me anything. Obviously, it's concerning. You hate it for these 3 people.
Goodwin admits he's frustrated by the situation. Look at the reports. All 3 drivers, including Adams, showed multiple signs of impairment. In one case, a driver had a half-empty beer can in the driver's side door, but they were all found to be sober.
I'm looking at them and I'm saying, I'm not sure how I fix this.
And in many times, sober drivers are asking for breathalyzers. Listen. But they didn't. You can see in the video, Adams was taken to get a blood draw instead. After that, he was taken to jail. Why not use a breathalyzer each time? That would at least tell you if that person had been drinking alcohol.
So many people that we see now, they're under the influence, but it's not necessarily alcohol.
And a blood test, which takes longer to get back, is the only way to know for sure.
I just put myself in their position, and how would I feel if this happened to me?
Adams knows how it feels each and every time he drives past where he was arrested.
Sometimes I'll refer to it as the scene of the crime because it was a crime against me.
It's something you notice almost immediately.
Good morning.
In the body camera footage of officers approaching Xavier Gray.
Go ahead and turn the car off for me, okay?
His hands are in the air.
First of all, I'm scared of the police.
You got anything to drink tonight?
No, sir.
But Gray, like so many other drivers who've spoken with WSNV4 Investigates, wasn't concerned at first.
Well, I'm gonna run you through some the field sobriety test, just make sure you're good to drive and everything, okay?
Oh, yeah. I know I'm not under the influence of anything.
And he thought he performed well until this.
I'm placing you on the register for driving under the influence, okay?
Huh? I don't even drink or anything. That's crazy. I work for a living driving a dump truck, And this is what I do. This is my whole livelihood. I was really afraid about losing my license.
Gray is the latest person we found to be charged with a DUI whose blood work would come back showing he was completely sober. For months, we've been emailing back and forth with the TBI, asking for blood work data that shows just how often it's happening in Tennessee. And it turns out we weren't the only ones asking.
I've seen the news stories that you all did.
State Representative Lowell Russell had seen our sobering problems investigations. And after one of his constituents was arrested for a DUI while he was completely sober, he asked the TBI for the data as well. After months of requests, the TBI finally produced the data. Turns out it wasn't dozens, but more than 600 Tennesseans, 609 to be exact, innocent drivers, totally sober, charged with DUI. For perspective, if all of the sober drivers charged with DUI went to the Ryman, they would take up more than half of the seats in the upper balcony.
I just wonder what you think about that.
It's a miscarriage of justice. It seems like they're doing it everywhere around Tennessee, man.
Nobody wants drunk drivers on the road, ever. But what does it say that we keep finding sober people being arrested for DUI?
I have heard of those on a very, very limited scale, and those are, of course, tragic for everyone involved.
Tragic cases that lets drivers like Gray know he is hardly alone.
You know what's so scary is just thinking about how hard I work to stay out of trouble, right? And then to have something like this happen.
Go ahead and step on out of the car and we're going to have a conversation, okay?
On the evening of June 23rd, Stephanie Fair was about to find out she was in double trouble.
There's a very distinct odor of alcohol that comes from either a person or inside the vehicle.
Right.
Okay.
I understand, but on my life, I don't drink alcohol. I just ate.
When he started asking me about drinking, I instantly got this feeling in my stomach, like, this is bad.
And it was. She'd been pulled over for failing to move over, something the state trooper was not pleased about.
She almost hit me when I was wrapping up a traffic stop. I come up to the car and it just reeks of alcohol. How's she doing the test? You can see it in her eyes.
He clearly states he could smell the odor of alcohol beverage.
Yeah, when he said he could smell it, I know this is corrupt. This is completely wrong.
Place your hands behind your back.
Why?
Because you're being placed under arrest for DUI.
But
Ma'am?
why? But I haven't drank anything. But I don't drink.
And she was right. Not only did her blood work show she had neither alcohol nor drugs in her system, her attorney got video of where she'd been before being pulled over. That's her getting ice cream.
I'm sorry, I have tried. I was more scared being with that cop alone than I actually was inside the jail.
I was terrified.
Candace Slate can sympathize.
It's hurting to do that on my knee.
After her car flipped in an accident, a state trooper asked her to do a field sobriety test. Clearly in pain,
That really hurts.
she doesn't do well.
I know I bombed it. I mean, I was in shock.
Go ahead and put your hands behind your back under arrest for dominant influence.
What? I thought, oh my God, I'm going to lose my daughter, who I can't lose her. You know, I can't lose my license. I mean, this is my life.
Several $1,000s paid to an attorney later, she got her blood work. No alcohol. Her level of prescription medication so low, the charge of DUI was dismissed.
I ended up broke, trying to prove my innocence. Yes, I won. It was dismissed, but I'm terrified to drive now.
It also happened to Labrisha Beatty.
It has had a traumatic impact on me.
An employee of NASA, a state trooper charged her with DUI in Giles County. Her blood work later showed she was completely sober.
There is a real issue. There is an issue in Tennessee.
And it turns out state troopers didn't just wrongfully arrest these three women. They also arrested Reed Hawley and Henry Esslinger and Keith Von Susten and Thomas Manis, all arrested for DUI, whose blood work later showed they were sober enough to drive.